Hey everybody, Floppy Waffle 69 here. In today's video, we are going to be looking at the new abomination that Wargaming has released in a premium store coming to you soon. The Valparaiso, the Tier 9 Pan-American Vanguard battleship kind of thing, because this is essentially a HMS Vanguard clone. We all know that. The Chilean Vanguard, the Warrior of Chile, coming to us here. Finally, after a lot of requests from everybody I remember seeing in the Reddit forums was like, oh my god, we need another Pan American battleship, especially a premium one, here to go up against the already pretty darn weak Pan American BBs. Oh my god. So the Chilean Vanguard, obviously I'm being facetious here and being pretty darn sarcastic. This thing is an absolute abomination, and I despise her in regards of a balancing standpoint. That being said, I will have to admit she is super fun, but what makes her fun? I'll tell you what makes her fun is that I can just sail at the enemy team and somehow live, do as much damage as possible, make them... everyone have to shoot me. If not, they're going to get slowly withered around and die just because I myself will not and cannot die. I don't know. If you have any knowledge about the game, this ship is insanely strong. Even if you have no knowledge of the game, this ship is extremely forgiving and extremely strong. I can't help but think this is a warship designed by Wargaming, not for what we needed, but was for the player base instead. A pretty mediocre player base. Because now I remember seeing people like, they're always saying, oh, battleships, we can't brawl anymore. It's toxic and you can't get in there. You can't be aggressive and push. And then they decide to make this thing where it's like, who gives a fuck? Just sail in. I mean, it's crazy, guys. It's absolutely crazy. So this is not a review. I'm just going to go ahead and list some stats about her, because when you see what you're dealing with, then you're like, oh, okay, this makes sense. So, not to mention the ways of obtaining this ship. I think they mentioned back in the day about this was going to be like a wishing wharf ship. But since there was enough backlash about the Incheon and how that went, they decided to instead sell it for direct purchase in the premium shop or whatever. And we were like, yeah, that's awesome. Great. Just the ship, right? That's all we want. We don't want a bunch of other bullshit. No. You are quite mistaken. This is an Admiral Pack ship, or you can gamble for it with the other stupid gambling event thing with 3 containers, which is an absolute disgrace. I cannot stand the way they're doing that now. Like, that makes it any better than just gambling in general. But yeah, so this Admiral Pack coming in at $147.81 there on the NA server. But don't worry, it's 20% discounted. And it's an Admiral Pack, so you get the ship plus a bunch of useless shit to justify jacking up the price. I mean, what the fuck is that? I mean, what is that, guys? That is such a joke and a scam. Oh my god, please don't do that. And not to mention, there is like I think they posted on Reddit. I'll see if I can find it for you guys. Apparently, they have it planned that this ship is going to be in the next Steel Hunt event for the New Year's event coming up in the end of 2025. So I would just save your steel and get it for that. Don't even get your credit card out. But I mean, then again, it is your money. So if that's what you want to do, hey, by all means, do it. But yeah, that I would highly recommend. Do not even consider giving Wargaming your money for this thing. I think it's just a joke, but whatever. And there's some footage in the background. I'm not really going to talk a whole lot about the footage because I have a lot of shit to cover on this thing to kind of sum up the abomination the ship is. So, I mean, health coming in at 71,600, which is ranked, 23rd against tier 9 battleships. She gets 6 heals. And I think with Superintendent, you get the 7, if I'm not mistaken. And it heals up to 21%. Okay. Nice. Right on. I mean, okay. And it is an improved heal. We're gonna go about that too. We're right with 21%. So you get that kind of like specialized repair party team. Detection, 15.6 kilometers. Okay, not too bad. Maximum speed, 30 knots, and that's tied with a bunch of ships like the Jean Bart and Los Andes, for example. So 30 knots is nothing too special. But here's something that, it's going to really bake your noodle here. So the acceleration is 21.6. I believe she's tied with, like, the Duncan. And I believe the only thing that etches her out is the Minnesota with that insane, like, Vermont, Minnesota Kansas kind of, you know, improved acceleration, you know, cruiser like acceleration or whatever. So interesting, right? Quite interesting. Rudder shift. She is tied for first with 9.7 seconds. I can't remember exactly who she was tied with, but 9.7 seconds. I mean, and I go ahead and I take the module upgrade, which is going to go ahead and further buff that. So yeah. And then turning circle radius is 850 meters, which is ranked 9th. But enough about that. I don't really want to talk about that. I want to talk about the heel. And I think the heel is what we really want to talk about. Because as you see, there's not a big consumable loadout list on the bottom. But she does have not only an F key, but she only has a damage control and a specialized repair teams. But the heel is what makes this thing half broken. So the heel, what is 85% damage that can be healed. So that's the highest among all tier 9 battleships, even higher than like the Lion that we all know can print itself a new ship, right? So basically this is up there with the likes of that and exceeds that. It has a sit repair of 33%. So she can repair Citadel damage, 30%. I think most gets like, what, 10% Citadel damage repair? So she's number 1, obviously, in that regard. And then 25% torpedo reduction, which is just, you know, torpedo belt reduction or whatever. Like, that's nothing too impressive, given the fact that we have things up in the 40s and 50s or whatever, so. But that's only half the problem. The other half is this F key, which is the, what is it, the consumable operational readiness. This is similar to like what you have on the cruisers for the Pan Americans, right, guys? And this is going to, if you utilize the F key, which, again, you're prepping up and you know, gaining, I guess, basically until you have it with your secondary hits. That's how you achieve this thing, by getting secondary hits. I don't remember how many there are. You have to technically get in a row of hits, but you basically charge up your F key by getting secondary hits, and that's going to go ahead and once you use it, reduce your consumable cooldown by 95%. And it's active for 5 seconds. So you just chain off your damage control party and your repair specialized teams just nonstop, going back and forth. So this thing is like a zombie, man. It cannot die.
How do you kill that which has no life?
I mean, oh my god. Standard DCP, whatever. Not a big deal given the fact that you have the F key, right? So it's active for, what, 15 seconds or so? Now let's talk about the secondaries. The secondaries, the bread and butter. This is why people get this ship, the secondaries. You have a DPM of 297,931. Put that in perspective, the Los Andes is coming in at 199,500. Oh, man. And like to kind of like understand where that is, number 1 in that category is the Giuseppe Verdi with 498,600, and that's SAP secondaries. But now let's actually look at the actual hitting DPM of these ships with their secondaries. We have the Valparasio with 77,491, where the Giuseppe Verdi has 77,298. So it actually etches it out theoretically if you break it down by the numbers. I mean, oh my god. All right, whatever. Range 8 kilometers. Eventually you can full spec that with the right, you know, commander skills and whatever, getting up to what, 90, oh sorry, not bad, up to 12 kilometers. It has a 2.9 second reload, and they do pen, the secondaries only pen 21 millimeters of armor. I think they're like, what, 127 mils. Yeah, I mean, it's just a happy-go-lucky ship, man. You can sail this thing in, and there's not a care in the world. I mean, at least this thing's armor scheme, which I'm not going to show, it can get citadeled. It has, like, that waterline citadel, so thank God we have a Pan-American battleship that can actually reliably get citadeled. I can't tell you the number of times I've had the Libertad or the Los Andes, even the Ipranga, at that matter, broadside, and I just get nothing but torpedo protection shatters or overpens. Or maybe I get a penetration if I'm lucky. Like, what the fuck? Ugh. Oh my god. Let's look at the main guns. 4x2, 381 millimeters. It only has access to armor piercing, but this is obviously improved AP with the improved auto bounce ricochet angles. DPM's clocking in around 240,000 with a 25-second reload with that 1.8 Sigma. So like, you have the guns, they're gonna be there. I mean, I didn't mind the guns. I felt them. They were obviously fine, especially when you're getting in close where you want to be with this vessel. They are hitting more than reliably. So again, I wouldn't really think like this is a downside by any means. But I will say with the gun firing angles, if you're familiar with the Vanguard, this ship doesn't have the best, especially with that third and fourth turrets. To get them all on target, I mean, you're showing a meaty chunk of your broadside, and usually my rule of thumb is if I'm shooting my third, fourth turret on a target, in return, they can punish the hell out of me and get those citadels. So, again, just be smart. You don't have to constantly get all 4 turrets firing at the same time. I mean, I sure as hell did, and I got great results in the thing. So, and then again, just to go on the very verge of the bottom of it, or just like to sum it all up, some statistics. I mean, this ship has only been on the market now for 5 days, 6 days of recording this video. Not 100% sure. Highest win rate above all tier 9 battleships, even etching out the Musashi. Granted, the Musashi has way more battles. This is tentative. I almost wasn't even going to talk about this, but I did want to speak about this now, so that when I check in 30 days, if it has changed or if it stayed roughly the same, then it's like, okay, clearly there's an issue, and Wargaming sees this too. The only ship that had the higher win rate than this was the Musashi. Okay, we all know how incredibly strong that ship is at tier 9. Okay. Her win rate differential. So this is the World Warships Tomato GG website that's going to allow us to check that. So how being allowing players to win more games and lose is up 3.99%. That's the highest. I mean, oh my god. Most frags with 1.11 in just about 3,000 games, and that's only on the NA server I'm looking at. Again, I didn't even look at EU, I didn't look at Asia, I didn't look at any other server. I just looked at NA, and that's what it's clocking in at. Clearly strong, right, guys? I mean, granted, we have a small pool of ships so far, so again, and players playing it, so I don't want to like get too involved in the statistics of the ship, because that obviously is going to change the more and more people get their hands on the ship. But yeah, it's incredibly strong ship. And yes, I'm going to head and go ahead and give it to categorize it as overpowered. This ship is, I think, broken, beyond broken. I don't know what it is with the Pan American battleships in this game, but my god, the only balanced one in my eyes seems to be like the Atlantico at tier 8, the dockyard ship we had. I mean, fuck. I don't even want to waste my breath talking about it too much. And you see the images in the background, and I'm going to cut and crop it, and just so it's constant gameplay, so you can see what the ship is capable of. I mean, I'm kind of full sending it in there, playing some clips. I'm playing smarter than other clips. Other clips I don't give a shit. I'm just kind of sailing in there and being like, let's shoot our secondaries, get our guns involved. Why not? I mean, I feel bad for these ships that are fighting against this thing. And I mean, I'm at 2 when I'm not playing the Valparasio. I'm playing other ships. I mean, I'm in the same boat, man. It is incredibly frustrating to deal with this thing, because you get it close to death, and then it just heals back up, and you theoretically can fight against that 6 or 7 times until it's out of its heals. I mean, it's frustrating, and I don't want to keep dwelling on the fact that I want to stay positive, but I mean, this ship has only been out there for what, 5-6 days, and I'm gonna go ahead and categorize it as, yeah, this thing is broken. Not hard to play. I mean, obviously, the more skill you have in the game, the more knowledge you have of the game, the ship is only going to get stronger and stronger. So you have your brain dead players who are playing it that are going to get good results, and you have your Unicum and Super Unicum players that are going to play this thing, and they're going to have phenomenal results. Yeah, this is just peak. This is just peak wargaming balancing in 2025 here, especially when it comes to battleships. Battleship gameplay in this game, man, I don't know if it's because it's the largest population and people just constantly complain, but man, it is incredibly frustrating. I mean, I feel bad for like those who really enjoyed, like back in the day, like the Grosser Curve first secondary build, or the Poison now, and the Schlieffen, and even people in their Ohio, even though I do find the Ohio incredibly strong as well. But it's like, man, why would you ever play those ships now? Like, for fuck's sakes. I mean, they're just outclassed in almost every possible way. I mean, especially the Schlieffen line, and that actually has weaknesses and downsides. Whereas the Pan American battleships, and I'm including the other 3 as well to this thing, are just all abominations and freaks. I mean, clearly there is just no competition. If you want a competitive, secondary focused battleship brawling playstyle, I mean, this is your nation. There are no other nations going to come close in that regard. And I'll have people out there be like, that's incorrect. I mean, their Schlieffen has its moments. The Ohio has its moments. I'm not saying they don't have their moments, guys, but I'm speaking like consistently game in and game out. You are just going to get flat out way better results and have a way better time and experience playing these ships than you will any other more secondary focused battleship. I mean, it's a joke. And then I feel bad again for our cruisers that get shit on by battleships, point and click, constantly. I mean, why do you think Wargaming keeps releasing cruisers with smoke screens or specialized, heals or whatnot? I mean, it's all a tumbling effect. I mean, the balance of this game is so out of whack, and it's so sad to see, at least in my opinion, because I do enjoy this game, but it's like nowadays, it's like, god damn. Before it used to be, I think destroyers were the hardest class to play, but I mean, now I think it's cruisers, man. Granted, you have your smoke firing cruiser, so I don't want to get like too deep in that, but I'm like, if you don't have your smoke screen, how fun is that? You know what I mean? All right, enough about that. Got that kind of over, and I just want to talk about the other important thing is, how do you fight this thing on the battlefield? It's going to take focus fire. I mean, it's got to be focus fire. It's got to remain spotted before it can get within its secondary brawling range. Because once it's in its secondary brawling range, just get ready. It's going to chain out everything it has until it's dead. And that's what you don't want. So it comes down to, obviously, the commander playing the Valparasio to pick its spots to brawl and position its ship and not sail around flat broadside in order to get, into brawling range. And once he's in brawling range, that's when shit's going to get real, personally. But fighting her, you got to keep her at distance. I mean, obviously, you can go toe-to-toe with her, like in a Los Andes. Or, sorry, not Los Andes. Well, yeah, maybe a Los Andes. But the Libertad, like, ships like that, like, for sure. But, again, you're going to have to factor in the whole zombie element of this ship. Because it is going to live. That's just things, man. It's just like the Pan American cruisers. Like, if there's one thing they're really good at, it is... They're pretty good at not dying when it comes to, like, constant fire and overmatch. I mean, yes, we all blap them every now and then when they're sailing broadside, but I'm talking about, like, consistently throughout the game, if they're played well enough, it's hard to kill. They're hard to kill. Especially if you're another cruiser fighting, there's like a San Martin, for example. But yeah, the Valparaiso, just highlighting some footage in the background. I mean, 3 games. These were my first 3 games I played in the ship, and I just decided to clip them and show you guys kind of like the meat and potatoes of what this ship does. I mean, if I can do this, guys, I mean, I'm fairly confident the vast majority of everyone who plays the ship is going to be able to do stuff like this, okay? Not a hard ship to play. Really not a hard ship to play. Keep in mind that you do have you can get punished if you show too much broadside with that Citadel. But even then, it is waterline, so factor that in too. But yeah, I mean, in total, the ship is just not. It's not worth the price tag they're paying that they're offering. If you could just buy the ship, like I believe it used to be, like what was a tier 9 battleship back in like $70, $80 between that. I'm not really 100% sure, around there. I mean, whatever. Like I'd be way more willing to say, you know what? Hey, if you really want a fun experience that's super fun, brain dead, like yeah, fuck, break out your credit card and go ahead and spend it. If you don't mind spending money in this game, go ahead. Do it. It's your money. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, well, fuck, you can't spend money with, like, no. If you want to do it, go ahead. Is it worth that price tag? No, given the fact that a AAA game is like, what, usually $60 to $70. So one ship of AAA game has, countless hours of gameplay, whereas this, you're like, okay, you played a couple times, it's a blast, but then usually you're going to play other things. I don't know. And again, you're still at the mercy of being up-tiered. I believe all 3 of my games, or 2 of the 3 at least, I was at tier 10, if not super ship. So again, a tier 9 ship, you're fighting against that element too. But I'm not worried that I'm in this ship when I get up there. That's another thing like there's a lot of ships in this game. I'd say the vast majority, if I'm finding myself in a situation like this, I am playing way more passive, and I am not just like gonna go out there in full send because there's consequences. But with this ship, fuck, I don't feel like that. I just feel like it's too easy. It is too easy. Peak balancing of battleships in 2025. I think it comes down to World of Warships and Wargaming are trying to balance a player base rather than balance ships, if that makes sense. I know I've heard other people talk about this on the Reddit forums and whatnot, and various other YouTube videos, and I'm really starting to believe that. I think we've really gotten away from what the word balance means, and we've definitely tweaked it and rewritten the word balance in the eyes of Wargaming here. It's just incredibly frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating. It's incredibly fun to play, but it's incredibly frustrating to fight. You know, and I can attest to that. I can 100% attest to that. So, but, you know, again, at the end of the day, what's Wargaming going to do? Are they going to address the ship? I don't know. Maybe there's enough community backlash. Usually what they'll do is they'll just produce more battleships that are rivaling it in the balance department, and then people will stop bitching about it, come 3-6 months down the road when other things get released and there's other stuff to bitch about. Where do we draw the line? That's kind of what I'm trying to say here. What is the line? What is balanced? I mean, in the freemium model, I understand it doesn't pay to have a balanced game. I understand that. I'm not an idiot. I get it. But fuck. I mean, I guess maybe I'm under the belief, this fantasy belief that you'll catch more flies with honey than you will vinegar sort of thing. That if you actually make a balanced game, care about your player base, and do things to appease your customer base, they'll be more inclined and more willing to spend money. I don't know if that's just fiction nowadays, but that's certainly something that Wargaming obviously doesn't do. And maybe we'll get 1 or 2 events per year, maybe 3 max, that like the player base is like, oh my god, this is awesome, we got to praise Wargaming for this. But then usually we're dealing with 7, 8, 9, 10 things that Wargaming does that we're like, holy fuck, what are they thinking? So I don't know. I don't want to sit here and rant all day about this ship. I'm sure you guys are too familiar with the ship and what it can do out on the battlefield. It's disgusting. And I really hope that Wargaming addresses it, just like, how they, quotation marks, addressed the Pan American battleship line. Like, that's really going to affect it. I think the only one that really got a good nerf there was the Los Andes. These battleships, to me, scream lumbering battleships that are seen from frickin' Vietnam, that you can see them coming a mile away, so you can try to plan and maneuver yourself to not be in range of their secondaries. But if you're a bimbo and you don't move and you get caught in their secondary aura, yeah, they're going to absolutely melt you alive. Like, you know what I mean? I just feel like I could do a better job balancing these things. But, I still see people cry about how they're balanced. We finally have a way to fight back against, those other players that have these unobtainiums or whatever they call them, like these ships like the Lenin or Kutuzov. It's like, what? That is the most stupid argument I've ever heard. Those are also all premium ships, and they're very, decently exclusive, other than if you gamble, right? Where this is accessible to realistically everyone, I mean, what about the Valparasio? This is exclusive, essentially, unless you want to pay $147 for her. So my advice, wait to get her for the steal and just endure. Hopefully Wargaming addresses the issue, but I don't know what their plans are. So, but anyways, guys, hopefully you liked the video. If you don't, tell me to fuck off. Doesn't really matter. I don't make too many videos like this. You realistically try to stay positive and do some, educating with reviews and whatnot. But hope you all liked the video, and I will catch you all next time. All right? Have a good one. Peace out, guys.